The council chamber floated in space like a giant crystal. It orbited a dying star, and light from that star made the walls glow with soft colors. Inside the massive room, hundreds of alien species sat in rows that curved upward like stairs in an ancient theater. The most powerful species sat in the front, close to the central platform. The weakest sat in the back, far from where decisions were made. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked into the chamber with her small team, 5 humans total. They wore plain gray uniforms that looked boring next to the bright armor and glowing bodies of the other species. Sarah's face showed nothing as she led her people to their seats in the very last row, the back corner. The place where species that didn't matter were put. The humans had been part of the council for 50 years now. 50 years of sitting in the back. 50 years of being ignored. Today was another quarterly meeting, and Sarah knew exactly what would happen. The same thing that always happened. "Order," said the council speaker, a floating blob of gas that changed colors when it talked. "We begin with military reports." The war prime of the Rexian Empire stood up. He was 12 feet tall, covered in red scales with 4 arms and teeth like knives. His species controlled a third of the galaxy. They were warriors and everyone feared them. The Empire deploys 17,000 battlecruisers to Sector 7, the war prime announced. His voice was deep and made the floor vibrate. "We have destroyed 3 pirate bases and 2 unauthorized colonies. The Emperor's peace is maintained through strength." Other species made sounds of approval. The Vrexians were respected because they were strong. No one argued with them. The war prime's eyes moved to the back of the room, to where the humans sat. A smile showed his teeth. "And what does humanity contribute to council defense?" "Let me check my records." He made a show of looking at a data screen. "Ah, yes, 17 patrol ships. How generous." Laughter filled the chamber, not just from the Vrexians, but from dozens of species. The Cathari collective, beings made of pure energy, sent waves of amusement through everyone's minds. Even species that weren't strong laughed at humanity. It felt good to mock someone weaker than yourself. Captain Marcus Rodriguez sat next to Sarah. His jaw was tight. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair hard enough to hurt. But he didn't speak. Sarah had ordered him not to. Sarah herself showed no emotion. She wrote notes on her data pad with a stylus, old technology that other species found funny. Why write things down when you could record everything with your mind? Humans were so primitive. "Perhaps the humans can protect us with their words," another voice called out. This came from the Korthax ambassador, a creature that looked like a metal spider. "They are very good at writing things down and saying nothing." More laughter. The meeting continued. Species after species presented their military strength, their territorial claims, their demands. The strong took what they wanted. The weak gave up what they had. This was how the council worked. This was how it had always worked. When humanity's turn came to speak, Sarah stood up. Every eye in the room turned to her. Most looked amused. Some looked bored. "Humanity requests permission to establish a science outpost in the disputed zones," Sarah said. Her voice was calm and clear. "We have identified 3 planets with unique biological features that would advance medical research for all council species." The war prime laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "The disputed zones are too dangerous for soft species like yours. You barely survived when the Void Swarm attacked your home world. Without our help, Earth would be dead. You want to go to an even more dangerous place?" "We have adequate defensive capabilities," Sarah replied. 17 patrol ships?" The war prime shook his massive head. "Denied. Humanity lacks the military strength to operate in that region. This discussion is over." The council speaker didn't even call for a vote. The decision was made. Humanity's request was rejected. Sarah sat down. She went back to writing her notes. Marcus leaned close to her and whispered, "How much longer do we have to take this?" "As long as it takes," Sarah whispered back. Dr. Yuki Tanaka sat on Sarah's other side. She was the team's scientist, and unlike Marcus, she didn't look angry. She looked fascinated. She had spent the whole meeting studying the other species, watching how they moved and talked. Learning. "Did you notice the Cathari avoid looking at the Rexians directly?" Yuki whispered to Sarah. "They're afraid, even though they pretend to be allies." Sarah nodded slightly. She had noticed. She noticed everything. The meeting dragged on for hours. More decisions were made. More powerful species took what they wanted from weaker ones. The humans sat quietly and watched. Some species forgot they were even there. Finally, the meeting ended. Species began to leave, gathering in groups to talk and make private deals. Sarah and her team stood up to go. Leaving so soon? The War Prime blocked their path. Up close, he was even bigger. He could crush Sarah with one hand. I wanted to offer the humans some advice. We're listening, Sarah said. Go home. This council is not for species like yours. You have no strength, no weapons that matter, no respect from anyone here. You are wasting your time. He leaned down until his face was close to hers. His breath smelled like meat. The galaxy belongs to the strong. You are not strong. Accept this truth and stop embarrassing yourselves. Sarah looked up at him. Her face still showed nothing. Thank you for your advice, War Prime. We will consider it carefully. The Vrexian laughed again and walked away, surrounded by his guards. Marcus waited until they were out of the chamber before he spoke. I can't do this anymore, Sarah. 50 years. 50 years of sitting there while they laugh at us. While they treat us like children, we should leave the council. No, Sarah said simply. Why not? What's the point? They'll never respect us. Sarah stopped walking. She turned to face Marcus and Yuki. They were alone in the corridor now. She touched her wrist and a small device created a bubble of silence around them. No one could hear them now. They think silence means weakness, Sarah said. Let them think that. While they laugh and talk, what are we doing? Taking notes, Yuki said with a small smile. Learning, Sarah continued. Every meeting we learn more about them. Their weapons, their strategies, their politics, their weaknesses. Every insult tells us something. The War Prime thinks we're afraid of him. Good. Fearful enemies don't need to be watched closely. Marcus frowned. Are we planning something? Sarah's face showed the smallest hint of a smile. It was not a nice smile. We've always been planning something, Marcus. Since the day we joined this council. The question was never if we would act. The question was when. She looked back toward the chamber. And the answer is not yet. We're not ready. But soon. How soon? Marcus asked. That depends on them, Sarah said. On when they push too far. On when they make the mistake of thinking patience is the same as weakness. She started walking again. Come on, we have a lot of reports to write. Command needs to know everything we learned today. As they walked back to their quarters, Sarah thought about the ships being built in secret. The weapons being tested where no one could see. The plans being made. The humans had not been idle during their 50 years on the council. Not at all, they had been preparing. And soon, very soon, everyone would understand what human patience really meant. The galaxy was about to learn that the quietest species in the room was also the most dangerous. 3 months passed. The humans attended every council meeting and every social gathering. They sat in the back and said little. The other species continued to mock them. It became a game for some species. Who could insult humanity in the cleverest way? Who could make the humans look most foolish? At a dinner event hosted by the Silicon Gestalt, a species made of living crystal, Ambassador Chen and her team stood in a corner. They held drinks they couldn't consume. Human biology was different from most species. The food and drink at these events would poison them. But they came anyway. They listened and watched. I heard the humans asked for a science outpost again, said a Cathari representative to a group nearby. The Cathari didn't need to speak out loud, but they did it to make sure the humans heard. Denied again, of course. Perhaps in another 50 years they'll be strong enough. Laughter from the group. Yuki touched Sarah's arm gently. We should go, she whispered. There's nothing new to learn here tonight, Sarah nodded. As they walked toward the exit, a small creature stepped in front of them. He looked like a mantis, green and thin with large eyes. His name was Zixthar. He was from a species called the Trell. They were a minor species like humanity, weak and ignored. Ambassador Chen, Zixthar said quietly. May I speak with you? In private? Sarah looked at him carefully. Of course, they found an empty room. Zixthar made sure the door was closed before he spoke. I wanted to say that not everyone thinks humans are weak. Thank you, Sarah said. She waited. There was more. She could tell. My people have been on the council for 200 years, Zixthar continued. We also sit in the back. We also get laughed at. I have watched you these past months. You remind me of a Trell hunting bird. Very still, very quiet, waiting for the right moment to strike. Sarah's face showed nothing. We're not planning to strike anyone, Zixthar. We're here for peace. Of course, Zixthar said, but his large eyes looked knowing. I just wanted to tell you that if the quiet bird ever does strike, some species would be grateful. The Council is not what it pretends to be. It is not about peace or cooperation. It is about strong species taking from weak ones. My people have learned this. I think your people are learning it too. After he left, Marcus said, "What was that about?" "He's trying to figure out if we're dangerous," and Sarah replied. "And he's offering to be our friend if we are. Are we dangerous?" Yuki asked. Sarah smiled that cold smile again. "What do you think?" Back on Earth, far from the Council station, Fleet Admiral James Kowalski stood in a command center buried deep under a mountain. Screens surrounded him, showing ships and weapons that most of humanity didn't even know existed. "Report," he said. A young officer pulled up data. "The Oort Cloud shipyards are at 85% capacity. We now have 1,700 combat ships fully operational. Another 300 will be ready in 2 months. And the weapon systems? Gravity manipulation is stable. Kinetic cannons tested successfully at point 9C. The Cyber Warfare Division has broken the communication codes of every major species on the Council. We can shut down their ships whenever we want." Kowalski nodded. "And they still think we have 17 patrol ships." "Yes, sir. The patrol ships make regular routes. They get seen. Everything else stays hidden." Kowalski looked at a picture on his desk. It showed Earth, blue and beautiful. "Good, keep it that way. When the time comes, I want it to be a complete surprise." At that moment, on the Council station, Sarah was having a video call with Kowalski. The connection was encrypted in ways that even the Council's best technology couldn't break. "They're planning something," Sarah told him. "The War Prime has been too confident lately, and I've noticed Vrexian ships moving toward the disputed zones, more than usual." "Do you think they'll try something?" Kowalski asked. "I think they're getting impatient. They want to prove they're in charge, and we're an easy target." Sarah's eyes were hard. "Or they think we are. How much longer do you need?" "Not long. Everything is in place. We just need them to make the first move. It has to be clear who started it." Kowalski understood. "So we wait." "We wait," Sarah agreed. 2 weeks later, the Council announced a special event. A demonstration of power. Each species would show their military strength. It was supposed to be about defense capabilities, but everyone knew what it really was. It was about showing off, about reminding everyone who was strong and who was weak. Marcus read the announcement and threw his datapad across the room. "They're doing this to humiliate us again." "Probably," Sarah said calmly. "And we're just going to participate? Let them laugh at our 17 patrol ships?" "Yes, why?" Marcus's frustration boiled over. "Sarah, I've followed you for 3 years. I've stayed quiet when you told me to. I've let them insult us over and over. But this is too much. They're going to broadcast this demonstration to the whole galaxy. Everyone will see humanity's weakness." Sarah looked at him for a long moment. Then she touched her wrist device. The silence bubble appeared. "Marcus, do you trust me?" she asked. "Yes, but then trust me now. This demonstration is exactly what we've been waiting for. They're giving us a stage, an audience, perfect conditions." Her smile was sharp. "They think they're going to embarrass us. They're wrong." Yuki had been quiet, but now she spoke up. "You're going to show them our real strength? There in front of everyone?" "Not yet," Sarah said. "Not at the demonstration itself. But soon after. The demonstration will be the setup. What comes next will be the punchline." In his private chambers, the War Prime of the Vrexian Empire met with his advisors. "The humans will be destroyed at this demonstration," he said. "Everyone will see how weak they are, and then I will make my move." "What move, War Prime?" one advisor asked. "The humans have a colony world. New Terra. It is rich in minerals we need. After the demonstration, after everyone sees their weakness, I will give them a choice. Give us the world or we take it." The War Prime's teeth showed. "They will give it to us. They have no choice. And once we have that world, the other human worlds will follow. Species that cannot defend themselves do not deserve territory." "Is that wise, War Prime?" "They are council members. There are rules. Rules are for the weak," the War Prime said. "I am strong. We are strong. The council will not stop us from taking what we want from a species that cannot fight back." The advisors bowed. None of them disagreed. This was how the galaxy worked. The strong took from the weak. It had always been this way, but none of them had studied human history. None of them knew what humans were really like. They had only seen what humans wanted them to see. Quiet diplomats, small ships, weak technology. They had not seen the weapons being built in darkness. They had not seen the anger being controlled. They had not seen the trap being set. Sarah received intelligence about the Rexian plan 2 days later. Human spies were good at their job. Better than anyone suspected. She called Kowalski again. They're going to demand New Terra after the demonstration. Let them, Kowalski said. New Terra is ready. The colonists know the plan. Everything is in position. The council won't help us, Sarah said. We'll be on our own. We've always been on our own, Kowalski replied. We just let them think we needed them. That was a mistake they made, not us. Sarah nodded. Then we proceed as planned. Sarah, Kowalski said before she could end the call. When this starts, there's no going back. The galaxy will know what we are. Some species will fear us. Some will hate us. Everything changes. I know, Sarah said. But right now, the galaxy sees us as weak. As victims. That needs to change. Not for pride. For survival. Sixthar showed me something in the council archives. Every species that showed weakness was eventually conquered or destroyed. Every single one. The council is not a democracy. It's a hunting ground. Her eyes were cold and determined. Humanity is done being prey. The demonstration was scheduled for 1 week away. 7 days until the galaxy saw the truth. 7 days until everything changed. In the back rows of the council chamber, the humans sat quietly and waited. They had been patient for 50 years. They could be patient for 7 more days, but their patience was almost over. The demonstration took place in the disputed zones. A large viewing platform floated in space, protected by shields. Representatives from every council species gathered to watch. Cameras broadcast everything to billions of viewers across the galaxy. This was the biggest event in years. The Rexian Empire went first. Their fleet jumped into the demonstration area. 400 warships. Each one was massive, covered in weapons and armor. They looked like metal monsters built for nothing but destruction. The War Prime's voice came through the speakers. Behold the power of the Empire. The Rexian ships opened fire on a series of asteroids that had been placed as targets. Plasma beams cut through rock like it was paper. Missiles turned stone into dust. In less than 2 minutes, a dozen asteroids that had existed for billions of years were gone, completely destroyed. The council observers made sounds of approval. Impressive, powerful. This was the kind of strength that mattered. Next came the Cathari Collective. They didn't have ships. They were beings of pure energy, and their power was different. A Cathari representative floated into the demonstration area. It looked like a ball of light. Without warning, the light grew brighter and brighter. Then it touched a nearby moon. The moon began to shake. Cracks appeared on its surface. The Cathari was manipulating gravity, pulling the moon apart from the inside. Within minutes, the moon broke into pieces. The Cathari absorbed some of the energy and returned to the platform, looking brighter than before. More approval from the observers. More displays of overwhelming power. Species after species showed what they could do. The Korthax Dominion demonstrated weapons that could freeze space itself. The Silicon Gestalt showed ships that could repair themselves faster than they could be damaged. Each demonstration was more impressive than the last. Finally, after hours of watching others, it was humanity's turn. Sarah stood up on the platform. She walked to the speaker's position. Every eye in the galaxy was on her now, waiting to see what the weak humans would do. Humanity presents its defensive capabilities, Sarah said calmly. On the screens, human patrol ships appeared. All 17 of them. They were small compared to other species' ships. Simple in design, they moved through an obstacle course, dodging simulated weapons fire. They rescued a fake damaged ship. They established a defensive perimeter around a mock colony. That was it. That was humanity's demonstration. The silence lasted 3 seconds. Then the laughter started. It began with a few species and spread like fire. Within moments, the entire platform was laughing. Even some of the minor species joined in. Everyone wanted to be part of the joke. This is your power? The War Prime's voice boomed over the speakers. Rescue operations? Running away from threats? This is not strength. This is embarrassment. Sarah stood still and let them laugh. She showed no emotion. Behind her, Marcus's face was red with anger, but he stayed quiet. The laughter went on for a full minute. Finally, it began to die down. The council speaker called for order. "Thank you for your presentation, Ambassador Chen. We acknowledge humanity's participation." The dismissal was clear. Humanity didn't matter. Humanity would never matter. Then the War Prime stood up. He was enormous and his presence filled the platform. "I have an announcement," he said. His voice was formal, but his eyes gleamed with cruelty. "The Vrexian Empire has identified valuable resources on the human colony world of New Terra. We hereby claim that world for the Empire." Shocked silence. This was bold even for the Vrexians. New Terra was a human colony. It had been for 20 years. Under council law, the War Prime continued, territorial disputes can be resolved through combat between the concerned parties. I challenge humanity to defend their claim. If they can. He looked directly at Sarah. You have 1 solar rotation to respond. Surrender the world peacefully, or we will take it by force. The choice is yours, humans, other species began to whisper. This was legal, technically, but it had never been done so openly before. The Vrexians were testing the limits of what the council would allow. Then another voice spoke up. The Korthax ambassador. The Dominion also has claims on human territory. We claim the world called New Victoria. A third species joined in. Then a fourth. Within minutes, 5 different species had made claims on human worlds. They sensed blood in the water. The humans were weak. Why shouldn't everyone take a piece? The council speaker tried to restore order, but the damage was done. The challenges had been made. Under council law, they were valid. Sarah Chen stood very still during all of this. She watched each species that made a claim. She memorized their faces, their names, their locations. Finally, when there was quiet, she walked back to the speaker's position. Her footsteps were the only sound on the platform. Every being there watched her. Some looked amused. Some looked eager to see what the humans would say. A few, like Zixthar, looked worried. Sarah reached the speaker's position and turned to face the War Prime. You want a demonstration? She asked. Her voice was still calm, but something had changed in it. Something cold and sharp. We just saw your demonstration, the War Prime said with amusement. Very educational. That wasn't a demonstration of power, Sarah said. That was a demonstration of restraint. But you've mistaken restraint for weakness. You've mistaken patience for fear. You've mistaken silence for inability. She paused. This is unfortunate. Is that a threat? The War Prime sounded more amused than concerned. It's a clarification, Sarah replied. You asked for a demonstration of humanity's true capabilities. Very well. We accept your challenge, War Prime. All of your challenges. Her eyes swept across every species that had made claims. But we don't need 1 solar rotation. We need 1 hour. That got their attention. Confusion spread through the observers. 1 hour? What could happen in 1 hour? 1 hour, Sarah repeated. Go to New Terra now. Bring your entire fleet. Bring every ship you have, and we will show you what humans are truly capable of. Her voice grew quieter, more intense. But understand this, War Prime. You have made a grave error in judgment. You think you know us. You don't. You've seen what we wanted you to see. You've learned what we wanted you to learn. And now you're going to understand what that patience was really for. The War Prime laughed. Bold words from a species with 17 patrol ships. Very well, human. We will go to New Terra now. And in 1 hour, that world will belong to the Empire. Your people there will have time to evacuate if they're smart. Our people will stay exactly where they are, Sarah said. They're not afraid of you. Then they're fools. The War Prime turned to his fleet commanders. To New Terra, all ships. Prepare for combat operations. As the Vrexian fleet began to move, other species scrambled to send observation ships. This was unprecedented. A direct military confrontation broadcast lived to the galaxy. Everyone wanted to watch. Sarah returned to her team. Yuki looked at her with wide eyes. Is it really starting? It's starting, Sarah confirmed. She touched her communicator. Admiral Kowalski, you have clearance to execute. On the other end, Kowalski's voice was steady. Acknowledged. All units are green. The trap is set. Good luck, Sarah. We don't need luck, Sarah said. We need them to arrive thinking they've already won. Marcus finally spoke. His anger was gone, replaced by something else. Anticipation. I've waited 3 years for this. We've all waited, Sarah said. She looked at the screens showing the Vrexian fleet jumping toward New Terra. 400 warships against 17 patrol ships. To everyone watching, the outcome was obvious. 50 years of being mocked. 50 years of being underestimated. 50 years of them thinking we were weak. Her eyes were hard as steel. That ends today. Zixthar approached them carefully. Ambassador Chen, I don't know what you're planning, but I want you to know that my people will remember this day. Whatever happens, Sarah looked at him. Tell your people to watch carefully, Zixthar. And when this is over, tell them that the age of the strong bullying the weak is finished. A new power has arrived in the galaxy, and that power is patient, it is angry, and it has been preparing for this moment for a very long time. The Vrexian fleet arrived at New Terra. The War Prime's face appeared on every screen. He looked confident. Victorious already. I see no human fleet. No defense, nothing. The world is ours, Sarah smiled. It was not a nice smile. Look closer, War Prime. Look very closely at the space around you. At the empty space you think is safe. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the War Prime's expression changed. His instruments were detecting something. Thousands of somethings. Energy signatures appearing everywhere. Weapon systems activating. Ships decloaking. What is this? He demanded. Sarah's voice was cold. This is humanity. The real humanity. Welcome to the demonstration. You have our attention now. The galaxy watched, and everything changed. The space around New Terra looked empty. That's what the Vrexian sensors had said. Empty space, a defenseless colony, and 17 small patrol ships that had already fled. An easy victory. Then the trap closed, mines appeared first. Thousands of them. Hidden by technology the Vrexians didn't understand. They weren't regular mines. They were smart, linked together by quantum entanglement. They activated as one unit, forming a net of explosions around the Vrexian fleet. 50 Vrexian ships died in the first 10 seconds. Just gone. Blown apart before they could even react. Evasive maneuvers. The War Prime roared. His ships began to scatter, trying to break through the minefield. But the mines moved with them. They followed. They learned. Every time a Vrexian ship changed direction, the mines predicted where it would go. Then the real human fleet arrived. They didn't jump in slowly. They didn't announce themselves. One moment space was empty except for the Vrexians and the mines. The next moment ships appeared. Hundreds of them. Then hundreds more. They decloaked all at once, surrounding the Vrexian fleet completely. 1,700 human warships. Not patrol vessels, war machines. Each one smaller than a Vrexian ship, but faster. So much faster. They moved like schools of fish, coordinating perfectly with each other. Back on the observation platform, the council members sat in stunned silence. The laughter was gone. The mockery was gone. Everyone stared at the screens, unable to believe what they were seeing. Where did they come from? Someone whispered. They've been building, another voice said. The whole time, while we laughed at them, they were building. Sarah stood with her arms crossed, watching the screens calmly. Admiral Kowalski, you may engage. The human fleet attacked. But they didn't attack like the Vrexians expected. They didn't form battle lines. They didn't trade shots like honorable warriors. They swarmed. Groups of 10 human ships focused on single Vrexian vessels. They came from all directions at once. The Vrexians tried to shoot them down, but the human ships were too fast. They dodged and weaved, making it impossible to get a clear shot. When the human ships fired back, their weapons were different. Railguns that shot metal slugs at 90% light speed. When those slugs hit, they went straight through Vrexian armor like it wasn't even there. One slug could punch through 3 ships in a row. The Vrexians changed tactics. They tried to use their shields. Human ships responded by firing something else. Energy beams that made the shields overload and explode. The shields became weapons against the ships that used them. They've hacked our systems. A Vrexian commander screamed over the communication channels. Our weapons won't fire. Our shields are offline. Sarah spoke again, her voice broadcast to both fleets. You wanted to see human capabilities, War Prime. We excel at cyber warfare. We've had your communication codes for 3 years. Every message you've sent, we've read. Every tactical discussion we've heard. We know your ships better than you do. The War Prime's face appeared on the main screen. For the first time, he looked worried. This is treachery. This violates Council combat protocols. There are no protocols when you threaten to take our homes, Sarah replied coldly. You wanted war. We're giving you war. Human war. We don't fight fair. We fight to win. The human ships used weapons the Vrexians had never seen before. Gravity manipulation devices that crushed ships from the inside. The hulls bent and twisted. Metal screamed. Thousands of Vrexians died as their ships folded in on themselves like paper. Retreat, the war prime finally ordered. All ships, retreat. But there was nowhere to go. The human fleet had surrounded them completely, and they weren't letting anyone leave. No, Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. You came here to take our world, to take our people, to show your strength. Now you'll learn ours. Every ship. Every single one. This is the demonstration you asked for. The battle was brutal. The Vrexians fought desperately, but they were outmatched in every way. Human ships moved like dancers. They coordinated attacks without speaking, using quantum communication that couldn't be intercepted. They knew where every Vrexian ship would be before it got there. One group of human ships demonstrated a tactic that made the Council observers gasp. They linked their gravity weapons together and created a black hole. A small one, temporary but powerful enough to swallow an entire Vrexian battle group. 20 ships gone in an instant, crushed to nothing. Mercy. The war prime finally transmitted. We surrender! In the name of the Council, we surrender. Sarah's response was ice cold. We're not part of the Council military structure. We're defending our home. And you said it yourself, War Prime. Rules are for the weak. You're strong, remember? Show us your strength. The battle lasted 14 minutes total. When it was over, the Vrexian fleet was destroyed. All 400 ships. Some were blown apart. Some were drifting in pieces. Some were crushed into balls of metal. But all were dead. The human fleet had lost 3 ships. 3 out of 1,700. And those 3 had been hit by dying Vrexian vessels self-destructing. The observation platform was completely silent. No one spoke. No one even breathed loudly. They stared at the screens showing the debris field where the Vrexian fleet had been. Sarah turned to face the council members. You wanted a demonstration. You got one. She touched her communicator. Admiral, status report. Kowalski's voice came through clearly. New Terra is secure. Colony is undamaged. Our fleet is standing by for further orders. Stand by, Sarah confirmed. She looked at the council members. For 50 years we sat in the back of your council. We listened to your mockery, your insults, your dismissal, and while you laughed, we prepared. We built ships. We designed weapons. We studied every single species on this council. We know your weaknesses. All of them. The Korthax ambassador who had claimed New Victoria earlier looked terrified. You destroyed an entire fleet. Yes, Sarah said simply. And we can do it again. The Vrexians brought 400 ships. We have over 1,500 ships left. Plus the defense platforms around every human world. Plus weapons you haven't seen yet. The War Prime wanted to know if we could sustain a war. Here's your answer. Humanity has been at war with itself for 10,000 years. War is not new to us. It's what we know best. She touched a control. Every screen in the observation platform changed. They showed human military installations across dozens of systems. Shipyards building more vessels, weapons testing facilities, training grounds, everything that had been hidden. We've had these weapons aimed at you since our first day on the council, Sarah continued. Every major species here. We have firing solutions for your homeworlds, your military bases, your industrial centers. We mapped all of it while you laughed at our primitive note-taking. The Cathari representative, a being of pure energy, flickered with fear. You would attack council members? That's what you were going to do to us, Sarah interrupted. 5 species made claims on our worlds today. You all saw us as prey, as something weak to be divided up and consumed. Her eyes were hard. But we're not prey. We're the predator you didn't see coming. She pulled up another image. It showed energy readings from around the observation platform itself. Weapon signatures. Targeting locks. You're probably wondering if we have weapons pointed at you right now, Sarah said. The answer is yes. We've had weapons locked on this platform since the demonstration started. On every ship you brought to watch. On every council vessel in this system. Panic started to spread through the observers. Some began to move toward the exits. Sarah raised her hand. Sit down. Her voice was not loud, but it carried absolute authority. We're not going to shoot you. Not today. But you need to understand something. The galaxy just changed. Humanity is not weak. We never were. We were patient. There's a difference. Sixthar, still sitting near the back, made a sound that might have been a laugh or a cry. You were hunting birds all along, he said quietly. Just waiting for the right moment. Sarah nodded at him. Some of you understand. Most don't, let me be clear. We don't want to conquer the galaxy. We don't want an empire, but we will not be victims. Not anymore. Any species that threatens humanity, that threatens our worlds, our people, or our allies, will face the same fate as the Vrexians. Allies? The council speaker asked. Its gaseous form had turned gray with shock. Yes, Sarah said. Starting today, any minor species that asks for humanity's protection will receive it. Any species tired of being bullied by stronger ones can stand with us. Together we'll create something new, something better than this council where strength is the only thing that matters. She looked directly at the camera broadcasting to the galaxy. This message is for everyone watching. The old rules are over. The rule of strength alone is over. Humanity has arrived as a major power, and we will use that power to protect, not to conquer. But make no mistake, we will use it. Sarah turned back to the council members. Now, we're going to have a discussion about restructuring this council, about creating real laws, real protections for all species, not just strong ones, and you're all going to listen very carefully. Her smile was cold, because the quiet species in the back isn't quiet anymore. 3 weeks passed after the battle at New Terra. The galaxy was still in shock. Every news broadcast, every communication channel, every diplomatic discussion focused on the same thing: humanity. The species that had changed everything in 14 minutes. The Vrexian Empire collapsed. Without their military fleet, they had no power. Their conquered worlds rebelled. Species they had bullied for centuries rose up. Within days, the mighty empire that had controlled a third of the galaxy simply fell apart. The War Prime himself was dead, killed by his own people for leading them to disaster. Other aggressive species stayed very quiet. The Korthax Dominion withdrew their claim on New Victoria immediately. They sent formal apologies to humanity. So did the other 3 species that had made claims. No one wanted to be the next example. The council called an emergency session. Mandatory attendance for all species. When Sarah Chen walked into the chamber this time, things were different. Very different. She didn't go to the back rows. She walked straight to the center platform, where only the most powerful species had ever stood. And no one stopped her. No one dared. The chamber was packed. Every council species was there, plus dozens more that had sent observers. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. In the back rows where humanity used to sit, there were now representatives from 17 minor species. Zixthar's people, the Trell, sat among them. They all wore small pins with the human flag on them. A statement of alliance. This council is now in session, the speaker announced. Its gaseous form was still gray, hadn't returned to its normal color since the battle. Ambassador Chen has called this meeting. She has proposals for restructuring council operations. Sarah stood at the center and looked around the chamber. She saw fear in many faces, anger in others, but she also saw hope in some. The minor species in the back looked at her like she was their salvation. For 500 years, this council has operated on one principle, Sarah began. Her voice carried clearly through the massive chamber. Strength. The strong took what they wanted. The weak gave it up or were destroyed. That was the rule. The only rule that really mattered. Some of the powerful species shifted uncomfortably. They knew where this was going. That system, Sarah continued, created a galaxy full of predators and prey. The strong species grew stronger by taking from the weak. The weak species had no protection, no rights, no voice. They sat in the back and hoped they would be ignored. She paused. Humanity sat in the back too. We know what it's like. Zixthar made a sound of agreement from the back rows. Other minor species did the same. This ends now, Sarah said firmly. Humanity proposes a complete restructuring of the Galactic Council. First proposal, the Council becomes a true democracy. Every species gets one vote, regardless of military strength or territory size. Decisions require a majority. No species can be outvoted simply because they're weak. Immediate protests from the powerful species. The Cathari representative flickered angrily. This is absurd. Species that contribute nothing would have equal say with those who protect the galaxy. Protect? Sarah's laugh was harsh. You don't protect. You dominate. There's a difference. And if you want to continue as council members, you'll accept this change. You cannot force him, the Cathari began. Sarah cut them off. We can. We have weapons aimed at every major military installation in this chamber's member states. We can destroy your fleets, your bases, your ability to project power. In one day, we could reduce every aggressive species here to the level of the minor ones you've bullied. She let that sink in. But we won't. Not if you agree to change. The Silicon Gestalt representative, a being of living crystal, spoke up. Its voice was like bells chiming. This is extortion. No, Sarah replied. Extortion is what you've been doing to weaker species for centuries. This is justice. This is balance. Choose now. Accept democracy or face humanity's full military response. We will not negotiate on this. The chamber erupted in angry voices, arguments, threats. But underneath it all was fear. They had seen what humanity could do. They had watched 400 Vrexian ships die in minutes. No one wanted that to happen to them. Finally, the council speaker called for order. A vote will be held. All in favor of Ambassador Chen's proposal? Every minor species voted yes immediately. That was 60 votes right there. Then slowly, reluctantly, the major species began to vote yes too. They had no real choice. The alternative was war with humanity, and no one wanted that. The vote passed. Democracy had come to the Galactic Council. Second proposal, Sarah continued, not giving them time to recover. Formation of a council protection force. A military fleet dedicated to defending any council member from aggression, regardless of their size or strength. Humanity will contribute 500 ships to start. Other species will contribute according to their capabilities. This proposal passed more easily. Even the aggressive species could see the value in a mutual defense pact. It meant they couldn't be attacked either. Third proposal, Sarah said. Any species can request membership in the Allied Minor Species Coalition. This coalition, led by humanity, provides additional protection and support. Members will have access to human technology, trade agreements, and military assistance if threatened. 18 species requested membership before she even finished speaking. By the end of the day, 37 species had joined. The balance of power had completely shifted. The restructuring took 2 weeks to implement fully. New rules were written. Old laws were removed. The council chamber itself was rebuilt. Instead of rows that went up like stairs showing hierarchy, the new chamber had circles, concentric rings with all species at the same level. No one was higher than anyone else. On the day the new council officially opened, Sarah stood with her team, looking at the new chamber. Marcus smiled for the first time in months. We did it. We actually changed things. We started the change, Sarah corrected. Maintaining it will be harder. There are still species that resent us, that fear us. Some will try to undermine what we've built. Let them try, Marcus said confidently. They know what happens if they push too far. Yuki had been quiet, but now she spoke. Do you think we went too far? We destroyed an entire fleet. Thousands of Rexians died. Sarah's face was serious. They came to conquer our world, to take our people as slaves or kill them. Yes, thousands died, but if we had shown weakness, millions of humans would have died over time. Every predatory species in the galaxy would have come for us. She shook her head. We did what we had to do. I won't apologize for protecting humanity. Zixthar approached them. He had been promoted to lead ambassador for the Allied Minor Species Coalition. Ambassador Chen, I wanted to thank you. My people have been afraid for 200 years. Afraid of being conquered, enslaved, destroyed. Today, for the first time, we're not afraid. Don't thank me yet, Sarah said. We have a long road ahead. Building something new is always harder than destroying something old. But we'll build it together, Zixthar replied. That's what makes it possible. The opening ceremony began. Sarah walked to the new central platform. But this time she wasn't alone. Representatives from the Allied Coalition walked with her. They stood together, no longer in the back, no longer ignored. Sarah addressed the council one more time. 3 weeks ago, we were the quiet species in the back. You mocked us. You thought silence meant weakness. You were wrong. Humanity was never weak. We were watching, learning, preparing. But now that our strength is known, we face a choice. What kind of power will we be? She looked around the chamber, making eye contact with as many species as possible. We choose to be protectors, not conquerors. We choose to lift up those who have been pushed down. We choose to create a galaxy where strength doesn't mean domination, but responsibility. Her voice grew stronger. The age of predators is over. The age of cooperation begins now, and humanity will ensure it stays that way. The minor species erupted in approval, sounds, gestures, and expressions of joy from dozens of different species. Even some of the major species looked relieved. They had been part of a cruel system too, always watching their backs, always ready for betrayal. Marcus leaned close to Sarah. "You think this will last?" Sarah watched the chamber, saw species that had been enemies beginning to talk to each other like equals. "I think we have a chance. And sometimes a chance is all you need." Later that night, in the human quarters, the team celebrated quietly. They had done something impossible. Changed a system that had existed for 500 years. Made the galaxy safer for billions of beings. "What happens next?" Yuki asked. Sarah smiled. It was a genuine smile this time, not the cold one from before. "Now we prove that democracy works. That cooperation is stronger than domination. That the quiet ones in the back had more to offer than anyone realized." She raised her glass. "To humanity. To patience. To the moment when the hunters became the hunted. And to never being underestimated again," Marcus added. They drank to that. In the back rows of the new council chamber, a small inscription had been placed. It was in English, but translated into every council language. It read, "Silence is not weakness. Patience is not fear. The quiet ones are often the most dangerous. Remember this." The galaxy had learned that lesson the hard way, and it would never forget.